Okay, everybody, welcome to the Los Angeles chapter of the California Receivers Forum Luncheon Education Program. This is our fourth and last education program of the year. First of all, we just want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting this organization and supporting this program. I promise you today is going to be a very interesting and education program. Also, Tony wanted me to mention that right now we're putting together the directory for the California Receivers Forum membership directory. That goes out to many of the judges in California. How many judges do we send that out to?
Send it to about 700.
About 700 judges throughout the state of California. There's ways to get your name in there, advertise your business. I use that directory often when I'm looking for specific counsel in specific region, or I'm looking for different types of vendors in that region, because it breaks it down by different regions all throughout California. I think it's a great resource because, like I said, the judges have it, and it's something for them to look at. And if they want to cross-check you to see if you're part of an organization, they can look at that directory. So I highly encourage you to be part of that membership directory. Also want to let you know, after 10 years and hundreds of luncheon education program, I'm finally turning over the reins to a new generation of young and vibrant people who are going to be putting on these luncheon education programs in 2018. Ben King of Loeb & Loeb is going to be the head chair for the education committee. So if you have any ideas or thoughts for programs that might be good for this organization, please reach out to Ben King from Loeb & Loeb. So today's program is Minority Interest in Commercial Real Estate. Learn how to value and sell in a receivership and a bankruptcy. The program is being put on by Todd Wool from Braun Properties. Todd is a real estate broker. We've used him on many of our projects, and he always exceeds our expectations, comes up with very creative ways to market the property, and most importantly, makes you look good with all parties and attorneys and judges. So Todd will be on the panel today. Joel Weinberg of Insolvency Service Group is the second member of our panel. And then James Hill of Sullivan, Hill, Lewin, Rez, and Engel is also here as well. So you have a very knowledgeable, experienced panel, and I look forward to hearing their presentation today along with all of you. So let me turn it over. Thank you.
Kevin, thank you. Despite the title that went out in the announcement, the program today, we're going to discuss a little bit broader concept. In addition to fractional interest in real estate itself, we're also going to expand the discussion to minority interest in the business entities, which in turn may own real estate assets underneath. So we'll be talking a little bit about limited liability companies, closely held corporations, limited partnerships, as well as tenants in common and other fractional interests in real estate. Absolutely.
Well, that might go back to one other point. Common question I get is, what if there's a right of first refusal? How does that inhibit the sale? It's a question I probably get with almost every start of a conversation for an interest. How does a ROFR, a right of first refusal, affect doing what we do, or for that person trying to create that liquidity? And in our book, it doesn't have an effect in any way, shape, or form, in the sense that we have to disclose that there's a right of first refusal, because the operating agreement, whatever agreement that's enforced, we're providing to the buyers all the due diligence in a secure data room. They sign a confidentiality agreement. All that information is in place. We just say to the buyers that there's a right of first refusal, and that is part of the sale process. And if the GP or any member or whomever wants to take advantage of that right, well, that's their option to do so. But our process does not inhibit us doing what we do in any way, shape, or form. In the end, we look at mimics as being really a solution to create liquidity where the only other option has been, whether it's bankruptcy or receivership, The only other option is I'm going to call the GP, I'm going to sell my 12% interest back to him or her. I probably believe that I'm going to get absolutely shellacked in what they're willing to pay, and I guess that's my only option. And this is not the case. And for some of you in this room that are lawyers, have probably gotten involved in, in litigation, people arguing over the value of that interest and hiring people like us that are appraisers to appraise the interest, go through this long process. In the end, Mimics handles the solution. Just take it to market and find what the market's willing to bear. And
with that restriction.
With those restrictions, whatever they may very well be, and those are the caveats that the buyers have to adhere to. And in the case of Kevin's question on existing debt for a TIC, it's just part of that acquisition process and that analysis. And another question, in the case of Desai, we were lucky enough to have Jim and his team create that sales contract, the transfer document from the bankruptcy estate to the new buyer. In non-bankruptcy or receivership-related situations, it is an assignment document provided by the seller or seller's counsel for the buyer, and it's between the membership or the GP holder and that minority seller, and there's that sale transfer between them. It's an assignment document. So they're taking over that interest, assuming it's a GP. Go ahead.
And actually, in the Desai materials, you'll see the contract. You have to dig down into these materials. We didn't make them easy for you to get through. You'll see the bidding contract that the bidders had to sign and the final sale document. And for you receivers and trustees, you'll see all kinds of exoneration language and indemnity language that says, hey, I'm selling this as is, and after we close, you have to indemnify me, the receiver seller, trustee seller, for any claims that might arise in the future out of this investment. So I mean, there's a lot of protection clauses built into our sale process and the sale documents.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. There are going to be times, Desai is a good example, where we had very limited information and we all needed a lot of protection, like we all do. In some situations that we're dealing with now, they aren't court-driven in any way, shape, or form, so it becomes the liability of the seller and of the general partner, assuming we're speaking some sort of entity, to provide those documents and that underwriting material and partnership agreements and tax returns. And you'll see what we ask for in the materials that are sitting on your desk in front of you. We ask for a lot of information from the seller so we can at best maximize the value. In the end, it's all about what? Return, money. So the seller wants to maximize that. We put the onus on them to give us as much information on the interest and the entity that holds those interests, and that is very important. Tax returns, K-1s, partnership agreements, as I said, profit and loss on the property, leases for the property itself. It'd be just as if you were buying the fee simple interest in the property. So very, very, very valuable. Very valuable. Any thoughts?
Maybe open for questions.
We'll open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Anybody?
Or any new bright ideas on selling this stuff. We'd all like to take it home. But again, this process worked well for us. We will definitely be using it again. Every case is different, but all of us will see a lot of these membership interest in liquidation cases from time to time.
I suspect we're going to see a lot more, Todd, with retail commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate. Yes, Al.
I do have one question. You'd mentioned the concept of trying to convince a receivership court to sell the full entity or the full property when there's only minority interest owned. I can't quite imagine that argument flying. I guess you can't either.
No, I think, Alan, what I was saying, I can't imagine them selling the underlying real estate. What I can imagine a receivership court doing is if you have restrictions in the LLC, for an example, the operating agreement, on rights of first refusal, appraisal rights, and all of that, if they're all family members, you might convince a court that, let's just go to the market and not comply with these because these guys are all in it together and you're not protecting innocent third-party investors. That kind of an argument, it worked in some of the bankruptcy cases. Might be able to convince a receivership court in that limited situation against smaller, fewer holders, et cetera. But I agree with you with the underlying real estate.
Well, I think there's one more point, whether it's relevant to your question or not, Alan. I'd say probably in dealing with what I've been dealing to date with minority interests, probably 80% of the time, we're going to receive unsolicited offers on the fee, on the property itself. Absolutely. And then we just pass it along to the parties, and they're going to say, hey, wow, we just, here's a price that we didn't expect. And do they decide to sell it, and it settles a bigger question? That's a possibility. We don't solicit them. We're not marketing it that way, but it's common. It's common to happen. So, the reality is you never know. And in the end, again, as we always say, it comes down to money. So the solution of the process of selling minority interests, I actually think with one of the, I think it was the American Bankers Association came out with, and it may be sitting in this document in front of you, that the wealth transfer in the next 15 years of minority interests held in commercial real estate will be in the trillions. It's how most people own commercial real estate, in some sort of interest. They don't own the fee. If you wanted to own this building and you wanted to invest in it, you put in $1 million and you own 1% interest, hypothetically. What do you do when you want to sell that 1% interest? That wealth is going to transfer. And minority interests, the value of minority interests are just astronomical in the sense that the number of people and entities that hold them. So I suspect in our world of receivership and bankruptcy, we're going to see a lot more interest be a factor as an asset that you're all going to have to deal with. Because quite frankly, it's just so common. So who knows? We'll see. Yes? Okay.
I just wanted to see, are the traditional marketing platforms like LoopNet, are they open and receptive to?
So a question, that's actually a good question. Kevin's question was, is LoopNet, as an example of a listing service, receptive in marketing a minority interest? LoopNet doesn't even have a category for it. We have done it. We're very good at kind of weaving through the process of how to market and how to establish what we're selling. The reality is for us, in doing so that we've done in the past, we want the phone to ring. We want to get the calls. We want the questions. We want interest. So, and look, we all know in the world of marketing, people just don't read. They would rather just pick up the phone or flip an email or something to the effect and ask a question. We use LoopNet. We use all the standard, what you would assume standard commercial real estate marketing tools in selling minority interests. But additionally, as I said, we also have to look to the localized market for that, wherever that property is. Again, to us, we start with the property and then we work up. The private equity world, syndicators, there's so many different types of investor bases that exist out there that I'm sure you all deal with that are looking for yield. So we reach out to all of them. That is, quite frankly, the biggest job.
So when you're on LoopNet, Todd, how
Yes.
do you distinguish your minority interest from those? There is no category.
There is no category, so there'll be an other, and what we'll do is we will put it in. So let's say it was a retail shopping center, and it's 1 million square feet, and we're selling 12% of it, hypothetically, right? We'll go under retail. We'll go in that category, and then we will put all the information, the property, and write in bold in the description. It'll say 12% interest in the LLC that owns 4232 Main Street, and it's this, and this.
Did you guys talk to LoopNet about creating a category for that?
No, don't need it. And with the issues that LoopNet and CoStar are going through right now, it's not even worth the aggravation. So, But yes, marketing is a key component, and we even have a specific website. And if you go into Google or Bing and you type in minority interest, real estate minority interest sales, there'll be a lot of information out there. So thank you all for coming. On behalf of Joel and Jim, we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again.
Thank Kathy and Drew for the last year.